When zero-day vulnerabilities hit, it often feels like we have zero time to figure the risk to our systems. Let's take a quick look at how Rundeck can help diagnosing the risk and identifying systems that need our attention. Using the recent Log4Shell vulnerability as an example, we'll use the power of Rundeck to quickly identify vulnerable systems and then take those commands and turn them into reusable automation for future use. Here, I have a lab environment that we'll use to walk through the thought process of chasing down Log4Shell vulnerable systems. Our team did some research and settled on a scanning tool provided by Rundeck. No, this isn't an endorsement or recommendation of a particular tool. This is likely one of the many tools that could be used. We're simply going to use this for demonstration purposes. Since this tool is new to us, we're going to start with the ad hoc commands in Rundeck. We have 2 nodes, and since this is our first test edit, we'll just test against node 1. Setting our node filter to name node 1, and then we'll type our commands into this line. From their documentation, we can see that we can download it from here. So let's download their binary to our server, and we'll use wget. And that succeeded. And that's quite a long file name, so let's move that to something a little bit easier to type in the future. And let's subsequently make that executable so that we can run it. I happen to know that my nodes are configured using a standard user, so we're going to use sudo for the chmod command. That also succeeded. And we can test it briefly by just running their version command. We can see that we are now running Log4Shell version 1.20. So let's go ahead and once again as sudo, we'll run the Log4Shell command. We'll use their S parameter to run a scan, and then we will scan the root directory. And lo and behold, it found some vulnerabilities. That's because I put them there for the purposes of this demo. So this is the actual console of that server. We can see here that I have placed some Apache Log4j 2.14 binaries in a directory. And it shows that here in this path, that we're in home agent and that there are some vulnerable files there. Severity 10, the CVE number, etc. But in quick order, we've used these ad hoc commands to install a scanning tool and identify a concern on our first node. The next step would be to take these same commands and turn them into jobs, which can be reused across a wider set of nodes and in the future. We can view all of the commands that we issued here in our activity window and take these and turn them into automation in our jobs section. We can also add in additional logic as needed, and I've gone ahead and done that with a couple jobs here. The first job is an installation job that will actually just be referenced by our main scanning job here. So this will scan directories using that Log4Shell. If for some reason, looking at our definition, if for some reason Log4Shell is not installed yet, it will run the install Log4Shell job, install it, and then continue on through our script. The script is running the Log4Shell, watching the output for the particular vulnerabilities, and then notifying us if it's found vulnerable, and exiting with a code of 1 so that it fails this job step on any node that happens to be vulnerable. So let's take a look at how that works. You can see that it's now going to be running against node 1, which we know and can expect to fail, and also our node 2, which hasn't been scanned or checked out yet. And we can see that node 1 failed. It did install the scanner because we had only really downloaded it to a particular directory. My install script actually puts it in user bin. And then it ran the vulnerability scan script and found that we had, it was vulnerable to Log4Shell. So it failed. But node 2 came back clean. And it should be clean. It was expected to be clean. So everything's looking good here. We could take this automated diagnostic of which servers are vulnerable, and it really provides us a first step towards remediation. How to fix each one depends on its own unique scenario. In our lab, we would delete this directory. And if we reran the scan again, we can see now that the steps are all coming back okay and that all of our nodes are happy. But we could even continue further down the line and schedule this job to run maybe once a night to capture and identify any new servers that might have been stood up, and identify any new packages that might have been downloaded containing the vulnerability. Subsequently, we could add additional job steps that if a failed node was found, we can create an incident in PagerDuty and notify the appropriate individuals to take care of that incident. Thanks for watching. Go forth and automate.